You've already heard the story of the obsessed witch and how we finally got rid of her. But today I'm going to tell you the bizarre tale of a man who actually wanted to marry a witch. Yes, you read that right. He chased after her, used every trick he could think of to win her over. But did he succeed? Did the witch agree to marry him? Let's pull back the curtain and find out. This happened about 13, 14 years ago in a small town outside of Huntsville, Alabama. My friend Mike, who swears this really happened to him, told me everything firsthand, and he's not the only one. Several other people back in that town also claim they witnessed it all go down. Some even say they overheard the entire creepy exchange between Mike and the witch. Mike was around 22 or 23 at the time. And as it goes in small southern towns, most guys his age were already married and had kids. Mike had been married for 4 to 5 years by then, and just a year and a half before, his wife had moved in with him after their long distance marriage finally became local. They'd just had their first baby girl, barely a month old when all of this happened. Mike was finishing up his master's degree and staying home most days to study. His wife, despite being a new mother, was incredibly brave, something that played a major role in this story. One early morning, around 4 a.m., Mike's wife got up like usual to head outside. See, in the countryside, a lot of homes didn't have indoor plumbing back then, so women would go out to the woods before sunrise for their morning routine. Usually they'd go in pairs for safety, but that day, Mike's wife went out alone. Now, in local folklore, it's believed that new mothers are more vulnerable to supernatural attacks, something about their energy or life force being open. So most people would leave a knife under the pillow, keep the fire burning in the home, or even burn sage to ward off spirits. Mike's wife didn't follow any of those rituals. She was fearless. Unfortunately, that bravery came at a price. There was a tree, locals called it the cedar devil tree, at the edge of the fields where people claimed a witch haunted the area. That morning, as Mike's wife walked near it alone, the witch spotted her. She followed her all the way home, and once Mike's wife returned home, she was no longer alone. Mike woke up around 5 a.m. and went out to feed the livestock. When he came back, he noticed something was off. His baby was crying, but his wife just sat on the bed with her legs stretched out, humming to herself. He was stunned. That wasn't like her at all. He shouted, "Can't you hear the baby crying?" She didn't even flinch, just kept smiling and humming. Before things got heated, Mike's sister-in-law entered the room, scooped up the crying baby, and told Mike to step outside. But Mike was fuming. He pointed to his wife and said, "She's just sitting there smiling like nothing's wrong." But his sister-in-law just smiled and then laughed. That made Mike even angrier. "What's so funny?" Still chuckling, she told him, "Go call Grandpa." And that's when it hit him. He didn't leave. He stayed right there and sat on the bed next to his wife. People started gathering in the room, family, neighbors. You know how fast word spreads in small towns, especially when someone says it's a ghost or possession. Soon, the room was packed with about a dozen people. Mike looked his wife straight in the eyes and asked, "Who are you?" She smiled but didn't answer. He tried again, this time acting like a preacher. "Tell me before I burn you with holy fire." She just smiled again, but this time she spoke, "What do you want?" Mike puffed up his chest. "Speak to me with respect. I'm a man of God." She tilted her head and replied, "I'm the witch of the devil tree." Mike grinned. "So you admit it? Why'd you take over my wife?" The witch responded, "She walked alone. I couldn't help it. But I'll leave soon. I can't stay here much longer." Mike smirked. "Scared of me, huh?" "No," she said calmly. "Scared of what's hanging over your house. It burns me." Mike's house was backed by an old oak tree people believed had protective spirits. A branch extended right over their room. That must have been what she meant. He joked, "Why don't you just stay here with us? Be my second wife." She laughed. "That's not possible, but tell me, why do you want to marry me?" Mike replied, "I'm broke. You ghosts seem to have treasure. Maybe you can bring in some income." She laughed again. "Yes, we have treasures, but no living human is allowed to take them. If they try, we destroy them." Then Mike leaned in and asked a serious question. "What are ghosts? Have you seen God? Were you once human?" The witch paused, took a deep breath, and said, "I don't know about God, but there are entities even we fear. We avoid religious people. We hate prayers and holy rituals." Mike asked again, "So you were once human?" She looked away. It doesn't matter. I have to go now. They are coming. Just then, Mike's grandfather entered the room and barked, "What the hell's going on in here?" Before anyone could answer, Mike's wife pulled her scarf over her head, jumped down from the bed, and rushed to take her baby from the sister-in-law's arms. She sat down quietly, rocking the baby and whispering, "My baby, my baby." Mike shot a look at his grandfather and muttered under his breath, "Why'd you have to show up now? Another 30 minutes, and I could have married a witch."